In this demonstration, we're going to have a look at how we can configure email address policies within the Exchange organization. By default, what we're going to get is we're going to get email addresses of alias at whatever the domain is. That, in the case of my company, isn't really acceptable. What I would like to do is have firstname.lastname at. So to do that, we really need to either create or modify the default policy. To do all of this, it's a hub transport role that is responsible for the email address policies. So as we can see up the top, we have email address policies, and currently we have a default policy. So I'm not going to modify this, I'm going to leave this intact, but what I'm going to do is create a new email address policy. I'm going to call this one a datum, which is the name of the company that I have. I'm going to specify really just everything. I'm going to apply this to everything, so all of my recipient objects. Click next. I'm going to do it for everything. So we'll click next. And what we want to do here is just add some new email addresses. So we're going to do firstname.lastname at the domain. So we've got firstname.lastname. We're not really bothered about any accepted domains. We're using the default. So we'll click OK. So we're going to get firstname.lastname at datum.com. We'll click our next button. We'll apply this immediately. So click next and click new. Goes away. Runs the Exchange Management shell, click the finish button. What we can then do is we can just come to recipient configuration, click on mailbox, find a user. So let's go for Mohammed. And Mohammed, now that we click his email addresses, we can see we have firstname.lastname at datum.com. What I also have within my organization here is I have an additional company running from the site called Fourth Coffee. So we just have a look down here, we've got Fourth Coffee. In Fourth Coffee, we have a couple of users and we want to generate email addresses specifically for these users. So we'll close this down here. We'll just come back to our Exchange Management console, come back to the Hub Transport role, and what we're going to do here is create a new email address policy. So a new email address policy. I'm going to call this one Fourth Coffee. Again, we're going to apply it to everything, so all objects. We're going to do recipients in the company, but this time we're going to specify the company of Fourth Coffee. We'll click add at this point here, click OK, and if we just do a preview, you can currently see it hasn't picked anything up. So no recipients as of yet sitting in that company, but what we'll do at a later date is just modify the company attribute within those users. So click next, click add for the email address policy. I'm going to specify the accepted domain to be our fourthcoffee.com domain. Again, we're going to use firstname.lastname, click OK, click next. We'll apply this immediately, click next, click new. Now generate that additional email address policy. So we'll click finish at this point here. Next thing we would do is go into the organizational unit, double click on the two users, go into their company setting under organization and just specify Fourth Coffee as their company. So that ends this demonstration of looking at how we configure email address policies.